Hi listeners, this is Akshata and today I'll be making a different kind of video. This is an audio video and in this I am going to be telling you about my memories of Goa when I was a kid. So if you're in a hurry, this is not the time to listen to this video. You need to be sitting back, relaxed, with a cup of your favorite drink. Could be tea, coffee, or your favorite drink. And I am doing this video because today when I was making one of my recipes, a Christmas recipe, I just got all nostalgic and it reminded me of my childhood and my parents, my grandparents. And the thoughts just came flowing. And also another reason I'm doing this is because my husband Abhijit, he's always telling me to write down these thoughts, to write down these memories of my childhood in the Goa of yore. And I said writing is going to take a lot of time, and then you tend to lose your thoughts. So I decided to make this audio, and I'm sure many of you will relate to this because this is the Goa of many years ago. It's mostly the Goa of the late 1970s and the 1980s. And I being, of course, I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, lived all my years before marriage in Bandra West to be precise. But I'm always going to be a Goan at heart. All Goans are, no matter which part of the world you all guys are living in. They say you can take the Goan out of Goa, but you can't take Goa out of a Goan. And in fact, my husband Abhijit, the first time that he visited Goa was in our honeymoon. I mean, that was the first time he stepped on the land of Goa, and ever since he's been in love with the land. We've always been going there whenever we get the chance to, and our children love it too. My kids, Ira and Aryan, they too love Goa. So, starting off, I remember we used to go to Goa almost every May. We used to actually alternate between, my family and my dad's brother's family, Uncle Lewis's family. They used to go 1 year and we used to go 1 year because my grandparents used to be living in Goa in our ancestral house, and we used to go in May, either of us, and pick them up before the monsoons used to start, because the monsoons were bad and they were pretty old, and for them to fend for themselves in the monsoons was pretty difficult in those times. They had to go all the way to Mapsa to get all their vegetables and all their groceries. So that season we used to bring them to Bombay, and then the minute the rains used to get over, then one of us, either my dad or my uncle, used to go and drop them back. So that used to be the cycle, and they used to actually love being in Goa. So we used to go every every alternate May, and we used to live there for one whole month. There was no television. There was just a small little radio set that used to just play some songs early in the morning and the news. So there was no real entertainment as such, but it was beautiful, and I really used to look forward to my holidays in Goa. So we used to go by the bus at that time. And I remember my grandparents used to be so happy to see us. And my grandmother, we used to have a lot of hens she used to keep hens, and she used to always keep a big brood of chickens whenever, either of the grandchildren were coming down. So it was such a nice thing to see chickens all over the house. And we had this cat whose name was Melu, a beautiful white cat, and she was, our house pet. So she also used to always have a litter of kittens whenever we used to come down. So that was a real treat for me to play with the kittens, and they were so adorable. Well, uh, what I liked about my grandparents and the way they lived was they lived, in today's terms, organic. Everything was organic, everything was growing in your backyard. There was no garbage, there was no garbage van that came to our village. I remember there was a little pit at the back of in the backyard, about 4 or 5 feet deep. And there was no plastic at that time. I don't remember plastic. So everybody used to use paper or cloth bags. And all that used to go into that garbage pit was, vegetable peel, fruit peel, or fish scale, or fish bones, chicken bones, and all of this was biodegradable. And of course, we had our cat. She used to clean up the fish like anything and, just leave back the bones. And so there was no garbage, first of all, which I used to just love about that place. And they were so self-sufficient. I remember my grandmother used to have, tondli growing in her backyard, bhindi growing in her backyard, tomatoes. There was papaya, there was mango trees. Everything was just there in your backyard. And every day there was this fisher lady who used to come, and that time there was no big kingfish and all. You used to get this freshwater fish or the regular fish. So every day my grandmother, there was no refrigerator in our house. There was just a small little teak wood cupboard with a wire mesh in which she used to store everything, little of everything. And so there was fresh fish. She used to buy only that much fish that we are going to be using. And the fish, and my grandmother was such an amazing cook. I mean, I still remember her simple food, like fish kaldeen or a chicken roast or a normal fish curry. It was just simple, but it was soul food. When you used to take the first bite, is to just, oh my God, I can't even explain the words. I can't explain the feeling. But I remember my grandmom's food. It was very simple, but so delicious. And that's where I got my passion for cooking. Because as a kid, I used to love standing, near the kitchen platform, and watch my grandmother cook. I remember she used to get up in the morning, and that time we used to have this firewood stove. There was no gas stove. So she used to put the rice early in the morning to cook. We used to cook everything on that firewood stove. And the beauty of it was there was no soap for washing vessels. There was no detergent. So they used to use the wood ash to wash up all the vessels. And they used to use the husk of the coconut as the scrub, And so everything was like organic. There was just nothing artificial being used. Everything was used to the fullest. And so fresh fish on the table. And I remember in that little cupboard of hers, she used to store pickles. She used to make amazing mango pickles, thornley pickles, brinjal pickles. And she used to never let anybody else touch that pickle jar. She used to just remove a little bit of it and give it to us in a smaller jar. But those pickles were like, only she could touch those pickles and nobody else. And then of course there was the pav wala who used to come early in the morning on the cycle to give us fresh loaves of bread. So nice bread and butter and fresh eggs from our own chickens. So you can imagine how beautiful life was at that time. So simple. And we used to eat really good, organic, healthy food. I think the only thing that they used to really buy was, onions and potatoes and other little grains. Otherwise, everything was just there. And the routine was, of course, have a lovely afternoon siesta. And there was not much traffic at that time. So everyone used to sit down in their balcony after their lunch and just laze around and then go and have a nice afternoon nap. In the evening was time to visit all relatives and friends. I mean, the whole of the May vacation used to just go in that, visiting people, meeting up with people, going to the beaches. I remember there was a custom where everybody used to go in the summer to Baga beach or some other beach and have a good bath. So my grandmother used to always carry all her gear and just go and have a good dip in that water. I think it used to take away all the gamulya or all the prickly heat. And then in the evenings, again we used to sit down together about 7:30, say our rosary together. And my grandparents and my dad used to say it in Konkani, and my mom used to say it in English so that I can also follow. And then after that, we used to all sit down in the balcony again, in the balcony, and my dad and my grandpa used to share a nice urak. And my dad used to love going and buying nice small pastries and pâtisses from Café Chavert. And we used to all sit and enjoy that in the evening, in the moonlight. And we had this open field in front of our house, which was facing the east. So early in the morning, we used to get the beautiful, just bask in the warmth of the morning sun. And in the evening also, we used to get this moonlight. So sit in the moonlight with the candles on and just talk to each other. And then have an early supper and again go to sleep. So life is really beautiful. And the best part about my holidays was that I used to get my parents all to myself. They were both working. I was the only child. So going to Goa and being with my parents, just having them at my disposal and just able to talk with them and have fun and play some cards and just share those times together, that it makes me really nostalgic. And Christmas time is another time where my parents used to actually take leave and stay at home. So it really brings back all my childhood memories. And then we used to be all rejuvenated to come back to Mumbai. And I remember my grandmother, she had this beautiful trunk and she had stored all her beautiful saris, which were all given to her by friends and relatives from far off places like Africa, and I don't know from where all she had those beautiful silk saris. And every time she used to carry that big trunk of saris all the way to Bombay and again carry them back every time she went back to Goa. But I guess she was those saris were very precious to her. And my grandfather, he was a very strong man, very healthy. He lived till he was 85, 86. He worked in the railways in Dohad and in the workshop. So he was extremely strong and he had made so many things with his hands, like huge lampshades, starting from the ceiling or touching up the wall. Sadly, so much of it got robbed on one particular occasion when nobody was there and the house was locked. That does happen a lot though, robberies in Goa, which is such a sad thing. Anyway, let's get back to the good part of Goa and the old days. One thing I used to dread when I was a kid and in Goa was going by the bus. Oh my god. It used to be like a full pack of sardines, and that was the only conveyance because taxis and rickshaws were so expensive at that time. We used to think they were very expensive. And I remember there was no place to stand, and that conductor used to go on, Mashe Pudevos. And I was like, there's no place, where am I going to go? And I used to dread it and I used to cry and plead with my dad that let's just take a rickshaw. And then there used to be a big argument between my mom and dad, and my mom used to say, yeah, you just pamper her and one day she'll sit on your head. But my sweet daddy, he used to always, take the brunt of it, but then we used to land up taking the rickshaw and going everywhere. And I love Goa rickshaws with the 2 doors. Even my husband and kids enjoy that now. When we go to Goa, we do try to move around in the local rickshaws. So friends, that's all I can remember at the moment. If you liked this audio and enjoyed even the pictures that I have put up of whatever I could find of my childhood or other old pictures of Goa on this video, please do give me a like. And one request I have to you all listeners is that if you all have stories about your holidays in Goa as a child or whenever, please do send me those messages, or if you all can record it on audio or even video, I would love to put it up on my channel with your permission, because I'm sure there are so many people who want to listen to these stories. Like my family enjoys, when I tell them these stories, especially when we're all falling asleep in the night. My husband and children will say, like, Mama, tell us a story. And so this is one of my stories of my childhood and the fun times in Goa. And I don't know whether it's only with me or with every Goan out there, but wherever I go, any part of the world, whether it be Europe or India or anywhere, I always look out for that little glimpse of my Goa, of the old Goa that I knew there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you did. Leave your comments down below in the comments box. I'm waiting to hear from you guys. And please subscribe to my channel. Hit that red subscribe button. And if you want to hear more such videos and more stories, then please put your comments down in the comments box below. So this is Akshata signing off. Until another video, take care guys. Bye.
Kitlo boro urbata aro vaslerut spuro komando goitso koro natsong kitlo boro